started a week ago, the itch. Not on his skin, but under it. A persistent crawling sensation at the back of his neck. The kind that makes you spin around in an empty room, convinced someone is standing right behind you. David became paranoid. He covered his webcam. He closed the blinds. He stopped going out. But the feeling only intensified. It felt like 1,000 unseen eyes were fixed on him, analyzing his every move, judging his every thought. The air in his apartment grew heavy, suffocating, smelling faintly of spoiled fruit and warm iron. Tonight, the itch turned into pain, a searing, splitting pressure right between his eyebrows. He stumbled into the bathroom, his hands slick with sweat that felt too thick, too viscous. He gripped the sink, afraid to look up. The pressure in his skull was unbearable, a rhythmic throbbing that matched his frantic heartbeat. Slowly, painfully, he forced himself to look at the mirror. David screamed, but the sound was choked off by a mouthful of hot, neon yellow bile that erupted from his throat. His reflection was melting. Thick ropes of slime cascaded down his cheeks. But worse than the slime was the movement beneath it. His skin was bubbling, tearing itself apart to form new orifices. Along his jaw, beneath his eyes, grotesque, wet mouths were clicking open, tasting the air. "We see you," whispered a tiny mouth on his cheekbone. "Finally, clearly," hissed another near his ear. The pressure in his forehead reached a breaking point. With a sickening, wet rupture, the skin split vertically. David watched in paralyzed horror as a massive, bloodshot eye pushed its way out of his skull. It didn't look like a human eye. It was cold, alien, and intensely aware. The giant eyes spun wildly for a moment before locking on to David's own terrified gaze in the mirror. And in that instant, the terrible realization hit him. The paranoia of the last week made perfect sense. He hadn't been watched from the outside. The audience had been growing inside him all along, waiting for their windows to open. Now, through a dozen new eyes that weren't his own, they were all watching together, and they would never